Talk 790 WNIS, a live local Ask the Expert Saturday morning continues with Chuck Worley and Worley's Home Services. CallWorleys.com is their website. Chuck Worley is the man when it comes to heating, air conditioning, cooling, when it comes to plumbing, when it comes to electrical, when it comes to insulation. What you want is a company that understands how all of these different fields of the HVAC universe tie into each other and work together. He always says that houses talk to him. He'll explain what that means coming up this hour. Chuck Worley joins us via the magic of the internet. And Chuck, we appreciate your patience. We had a little bit of trouble before the show began this morning getting the audio connection to work correctly. So thank you for working with us. You know how it always goes? I'm looking at the board, and every button looks like it's the right button, and then there's one small little button over here that isn't pressed. It's always it's always one little button, and it's like, oh, Jesus, how did I not think of that? So thank you for working with us. You're feeling under the weather, or what's going on with you?
I figured it was my black cloud of technology that overhangs my body.
No, this time it wasn't your fault. And your response was hilarious. I said to you, hey, I could hear you a moment ago, and now I can't hear you. Did you change your mic settings? And you were like, I appreciate you think I'm smart enough to do that, but no.
I think my exact quote was, thanks for your faith and confidence in my skills and ability and technology. But no, that never happened. In fact, I wouldn't even know what computer to touch, let alone what button to touch on that computer. Oh my goodness. I'd be afraid something would explode. So my son is 29 and he runs the company, the operations and all that stuff. And I'm like, hey, I need help. And that was all the way back to since he was 15 years old. My daggone phone won't work. And I'd hand it to him. It would be magically fixed and he'd hand it back to me. So yep. I've always had him as my right hand to fix any technology needs.
I can feel myself, I'm only 30 years old, but I can feel the world of technology slowly starting to pass me by. I have moments now where I'm on the computer and I'm looking for something in control panel, and it's like, why did they change control panel? Why does it look different? It's not where I remember it being. Now it's over here. Why did they change it? I can feel myself slowly slipping into the old man yelling at clouds. So I guess it happens to all of us.
You got any gray hairs yet?
I've got a few.
Yeah. That's funny. Well,
it happens to all of us, I guess.
A few years.
Well, Chuck Worley
hit the double nickels.
What's that?
Last year, so I've had gray for. I've said I hit the double nickels last year, so I have had gray for a long time. Probably 45. That's when it starts going gray. At least it's still in my head, though. I'm happy I still have hair.
You got a full head of hair. That's all you can. That's all you can wish for, I guess, right? Chuck Worley, he's the man from Worley's Home Services. CallWorleys.com. And Chuck, the phone number, if people want to get in touch with you directly, what is that number?
That is 757-215-4075. Wendy and a couple other girls are at the office waiting for your calls. If you want to book appointments, with any issues with heating and air conditioning, electrical, plumbing, crawl space encapsulation, spray foam insulation, we're going to talk about all of that stuff today. All we need to do, we got to remind you, like we did last week, call now. Do not wait until 9:54, where we have 30 seconds to answer your call. Some of these questions can take a few minutes to get to the total solution. So what I would ask you to do is call the 757-627-7979.
You've got it. If you want to join the show here at News Talk 790 WNIS, and you can take a walk around your house right now. If you're listening to us at home, if you're listening on the WNIS app, maybe on your smartphone or on your smart speaker, you know what her name is. I won't say her name because I won't set off your smart speaker for you, but just tell her to play WNIS. You can listen that way. Take a walk around your house. If something looks abnormal, if you see a crack over here, if you see water damage over here, if one room is warmer than another room, things like that. If you spot issues around your house, your home, and it's not quite up to the level of comfort that you want it to be, that's why Chuck is here to answer your questions this hour at 757-627-7979. That's 627-7979.
Yeah, the big deal is that I came up with the idea to try and give people ideas of why to call. These are the things that we hear a lot about. Service calls that we hear a lot about. Now, I do joke I'm the 757 house whisperer. There's not much about a house that I can't figure out. I love going into houses and figuring things out. Problems from mold issues to mildew to smells in your house, hot spots, cold spots in your house, um, rooms that are uncomfortable. Why is my electric bill $500 this month and it's normally $200? What's the most common things that we have? I'm cold in my house. I had a lady. We actually replaced her furnace, and she had one of those round thermostats, and I believe it's called a T86 Honeywell. Um,
Sounds like a calculator. Remember the
it, it,
TI-83s?
yeah, it's like Texas Instrument. Reminds you of Texas Instrument.
Right.
It's going down. So she had this T86. They had them for boilers. Actually, trivia question: why was that the most sold thermostat ever in Honeywell's history? The T86. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. That round, like tan thermostat. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
It's
I know
grandma
exactly what
had
you're
it in her
talking about.
house, right?
Everybody had that
Right.
thing.
Yeah, everybody had it. I didn't care if you had a heat pump, an air conditioner, a gas furnace, a floor furnace. Like if all you had in the house was a floor furnace, you still had a T86. Why was that the most sold thermostat that Honeywell ever sold? That's trivia for today. All right. So please call in and give me your shot at that. For answering, just calling in and answering the question or asking a question about your house, we got a free Starbucks gift card. Everybody loves Starbucks. If you made your wife mad this morning already, it's 9 o'clock. You will get a free Starbucks gift card to make her happy on Monday, Tuesday next week. So,
It's
so
a free get out the doghouse card.
you can say this is from Worley's Home Services because he loves our house.
And you could
So
even pass it off and just say that you got the coffee yourself. You don't have to tell her that you got the coffee for
it is
free either.
facts. It'll be our secret.
That's
It'll
right.
be our secret.
You, me, and the radio, baby.
Those are some of the things that I can do. This lady I was telling you about, she was probably 70. It's right at 70. She was almost my dad's age, and we had put this new heat pump in, and she had oil, and we switched it all to a gas furnace and in her closet in her house. And so anyway, she had it religiously set at 67, I think it was 66. 67, I think. We'll go with that. So it's, that's kind of brisk, but when that oil furnace comes on, I mean, it gets so freaking hot in the house. I mean, it overheats, right? So it's 67, but before that thermostat has a chance to cool off or cut off, it's about 82 in the house, right? And then over the next hour or so, it goes back down and finally hits 67, cranks back on. So anyway, these new high efficiency furnaces are so much more energy efficient. So they're not going to, and of course, the new thermostat is accurate, right? So when you set it to 67, the unit actually shuts off at 67. It doesn't overshoot. I don't know if some of you engineer types out there, there used to be a little coil that you could put a little small thermostat on, or thermostat screwdriver on, a little flat tip, and you could move that coil with that little tiny screwdriver and adjust the thermostat, right? So if you felt like it was off a little bit or you had another thermostat next to it, you could actually kind of move that thing yourself like you did. It wasn't that technical. Back when everything was easier with cars and thermostats, everything's computers now. Now you get a new thermostat. I mean, it's like a Tandy 86, like 8600. Like these thermostats now are like they're computer bases, right? Yeah. So, or like your cell phone almost. So
a supercomputer.
They are, yeah, the supercomputer. So anyway, she goes and move. So you can move these things. So anyway, we go back. I get there, and she's got a coat on. So I do what's called a happy check after every single install. I used to do it personally. Now we've gotten so big that I actually have 2 full-time guys that their full entire job is going back and doing what we call a happy check, or quality check is what most people call it. We call it happy check because not only are we checking to make sure the system's working and all that, we do want to make sure that you are happy with the experience, because the Worley experience is something to be had. And it's not just slapping in a heat pump, it's the whole experience. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. That's why I implemented these happy check systems, where I would go back and every single job I would look over the job and make sure everything went great, make sure everything was good, make sure the customer is happy, and go from there. So anyway, I go back. She's in this coat, like a burqa, like not even a like like it's a coat. And I'm looking over and I said, we'll call her Mrs. Jones. It was over in Newport News. And I'm like, what in the world are you wearing this jacket for? She goes, well, I'm cold. I said, well, it's 67. Of course you're cold. So she goes, no, that's where I kept the thermostat for 50 years. Like, she's been in this house since she was born. And I'm like, okay, but you're cold. So turn it up to 69. Oh, no. I'm keeping it 67 in the house because that's what it's always been. And I'm like, so I go through the oil thing. Oil, the thermostat's inaccurate. So she passed. She ain't hearing any of it, right? So I go over to the stat and I'm like, well, just let me make sure the thermostat's working. Guess what I did?
What'd you do?
I turned that thing up. I turned it up to 71, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking, I got all of her warranty paperwork and her happy check, and I've got all of her warranty paperwork. I've got all that. I've got all that printed out for her. I got this nice book we put together. There's a service number on it. If there's any problems, you call us. And so anyway, she starts taking her jacket off, right? Because she's literally, I'm starting to sweat. Like I think I set it to 72. So within minutes, it's 72 degrees, not 67 in the house. So she's pulling off the jacket. And I said, man, what is wrong with that furnace? She goes, what do you mean? I said, I'm kind of hot. She goes, I know. I just took off my jacket. I'm kind of sweating. I said, I wonder why. I said, let's go over to the thermostat and see what's happening. She's like, oh my God, you turned my thermostat up. She thought she was going to die because you turned the thermostat up past 67. So anyway, I said, can we just leave it at 69? And if you get cold or have to wear a jacket, I'll come back and we'll, adjust the thermostat for her or whatever. We'll make sure. She never called back. She's not wearing a jacket anymore. But it's amazing the preconceptions we have on system. But I get it. I mean, it's been 67 for 50 years. So it's just that thermostat's been inaccurate for 50, probably 20 of them. But yeah, that was a fun call that we had. But she is very happy now. So.
Chuck's got a million stories like that. Chuck Worley, if you want to join the show, 757-627-7979 to speak with Chuck Worley of Worley's Home Services. Once again, Chuck's number, if you want to call directly and speak with them and get any of their services, or if you just want to have the number on standby, because that's a good idea too. You never know when you're going to need somebody. His number is 757-215-4075. And the website,
like I said, Wendy is there. She's waiting for your call. She can book an appointment for you today. And we also got a $55 gift certificate for anybody that calls in today to the office and books a call. We can get that out to you. She'll stick it in the mail to you today.
And we've got some people calling in already. We're going to get to Herb in just a second. First, we begin with Dick in Portsmouth. Dick, welcome. You're on WNIS. Good morning.
How you guys doing?
We're doing good. What's going on with you?
Well, I finished in my attic space, and I have access to my air conditioning unit and opened up, 2 vents in the house, but I need a return upstairs, and I'm just trying to figure out what size filter piece to put in.
You have to tell me some more information.
Sure.
So
what you have
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
He said, what do you want to know? Yeah, okay, and just let me preface this. There's a slight, because we have Chuck on Google Meet, there's a slight delay between Chuck and the phone call. So
sure.
I'll do my best to keep you guys talking one at a time. So Chuck, first we'll begin with you.
All right. So the reason we're on Google Meets is because I have been sick as a dog all week. My fiance's got the flu, and I decided to leave Foster. I liked him way too much to get him sick. So
I appreciate it.
Him and Mike definitely appreciate, because I do miss the opportunity to dap him up, but it's yeah, it just wasn't worth it.
Sending
So,
virtual daps, my friend. Virtual
yeah,
daps.
there it is. There it is. So tell me about your house. So you said you enclosed your attic space. Is that what I heard you
Correct.
say? Okay. So
Yep.
you got a what kind of? Do you have like a Cape Cod type house?
No, sir. It's a just a standard. It was actually supposed to be just a standard rancher, but the way we put the unit in, it gave me 300 square feet upstairs that we finished.
Okay, so like a room over the garage type.
Well,
Type
not
space?
over the garage, just over the house.
Okay, it's pretty much the same thing, except you don't have an exposed outside garage underneath of it. So it actually should be easier to control that space, especially if you condition it. Um, so you added what, 2 or 3 vents to that 300 square foot room?
Added 2.
You added 2. Okay. How's the airflow out of those?
Oh, fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll tell you the math is, let's say you have how big is your house?
It is just a hair under 2,000 square feet, and I got a 3-ton unit.
Okay. So, okay. So okay. So the air that's coming out of those 2 vents, I hate to tell you, you are stealing it from your house. So the way the math goes is on, let's say a 2,000 square foot house, you're on the borderline between a 3-ton and a 3.5-ton system, depending on your insulation levels and types of windows and you know, because we do load calculations, CAD drawings, stuff like that. So but just rule of thumb, you're really going to be stretching that 3-ton unit. So by adding those 2 vents, and that's fantastic that you could at least semi-condition that space. I will warn you, you can't beat God. Heat rises and cold air falls. So you are going to be fighting heat in that room more so than any other any other room in that house, right? So that is always going to be a fight. Pulling a return from that room is always a good idea because, of course, like I said, you can't beat God. Heat rises, cold air falls. So where's the warmest air in the house going to be?
Actually, it's going to be downstairs.
Nope, 2nd floor because heat rises.
No, it's not in this situation.
I know, but if you add a
room is not-
return, yes, you're correct. Right now, because the return is downstairs, you are accurate. But if I put a high return in, remember, we're going to be pulling all the heat off the ceiling in there, which will affect the efficiency of that unit. So let's say, let's go. I'm trying to visualize this on a radio, right? But me and Lee are on the radio because we have a face for radio. But sometimes it's hard to explain stuff on the radio. But let me try this. So let's imagine your air handler is up in your attic, right? So let's say you have a leak or someone pulls your return off in your attic and you're running your air conditioner. So now instead of pulling the 80-degree air from your return inside your house, if you pull your ductwork off in your attic, you're going to be pulling 150-degree hot, humid air into your system, right? So we can agree that would not make your air conditioner more efficient.
Correct.
Right? Because you're pulling hot, humid air into it. So just realize I'm not disagreeing with you. I would probably add a 2nd return to the upstairs. It just depends on where your equipment is. Like if it's in a sidewall, did you put it in a knee wall or a sidewall up in the attic?
Yeah, it's out. It's out over the eaves. The house is built with a knee wall.
Okay, which is good.
And
so you should be able to just to pop one. I mean, you just want to pull some of the air out of there so you don't have a still and stagnant air in that room.
Blowing air in a paper bag. Eventually, it's full.
Yeah, that's right. That's a great example. Yes, that's right. You're just going to fill it up and it's not going to be able to move. So yes, I mean, we can do that for you, or I'm not sure exactly what your question was, but
what size should the vent be?
Say that one more time, Dick.
What size should the return vent be?
Of course, doing this over, the radio, I'm not looking at the job, but I would probably think a pretty small one. I think the smallest return grill you can get is probably a 10 by 10. Do you have filter back return grills downstairs?
Yes, I have one, and it's a 20 by 20.
And you have a 3-ton used system?
Yep, exactly.
Yes,
and I'm going to tap directly into that can.
I would not do that. I would go back to the equipment as much as close to the equipment as you can possibly get, because that's where your airflow is coming from. I'll do you a simple rule of thumb stuff, because like I said, we're over to radio. An 800, a 20 by 20 return grill, CFM that you can get out of a 20 by 20 return grill is a what Hart and Cooley and these manufacturers of grills tell us. If you multiply the square inches of the grill and multiply that by 2, that will give you the approximate CFM that you can get out of a grill. So thank goodness you got a 20 by 20, because I can do that math. So that's 400 square inches, right? 20 times 20.
Okay.
Hopefully nobody corrects me on that. I think that's right. 20 times 20 is 400. So you have 400 square inches. Hart and Cooley tells us that if you double that, it'll tell you the approximate CFM you can get through a 20 by 20 grill, 400 square foot, multiply by 2. That's 800 CFM approximately. And of course, that depends on the size of the duct going to the 20 by 20. Because obviously, if we have a 18-inch duct going to that, or a 8-inch duct going to that, that will affect. So what they're saying, the CFM coming through that grill, right? Because the duct has to be big enough. Okay, so as long as it's not an 8-inch duct and it's more like a 16, or probably be a 16-inch duct going to it.
Yeah. It's a large.
So your maximum that you're pulling out of that grill is going to be 800 CFM. What's the problem with that when you have a 3-ton system is the CFM of 1 ton is 400.
Mm-hmm.
So 400 times 3 is not 800. It's 1,200. So you actually will probably help the efficiency of your unit, because that ductwork is severely undersized. So what I would do if I was doing it, I'd run like an 8 or 10-inch duct straight from my equipment, from the box or plenum box on the air handler. Okay. So if you can do that, that will actually affect the efficiency of the entire system, both downstairs and upstairs. So this is they have this thing called mechanical engineering, and in the commercial trades, it's a whole trade. Then we have heating and air guys out here slinging around their tool bag and not doing the math. But we see this all the time. I'd say probably 75% of the systems we look at, the equipment is sized properly, but the ductwork isn't. And it's like I always, and this is a lot more visual thing that I do, but I grab my neck, and I used to joke when I was married. I said, now let's say my wife gets mad at me and grabs me around the neck. I can only breathe so much, right? So if she releases, I can breathe a whole lot better. But when she grabs me by the neck, no matter how big my 19, 20-inch neck is, I can only let so much air through. Well, if you have a ductwork that's too small, you're actually choking your system out. So, but like I said, 75% of the systems that we'll run into, we see that all the time. That is not uncommon. So help yourself by running probably an 8 or 10-inch line straight from the plenum box even though it's easier probably to pull from the 20 by 20 box. But if you pull from that box, guess what you're going to do? You're going to affect the efficiency of the entire house, upstairs and downstairs. And I'm sorry it's over the radio. It's hard to visualize this. If I was in front of you, I could point and tell you. But yeah, that's the way I would do it. If it was my house, and I've done that. I made some modifications to my house. But what you don't want to do is add another 300 square foot to your house.
No.
That system's not going to be big enough. And I'm telling you right now, you're really pushing that. You're really pushing that system at 2,000 square foot.
Yeah, right at 3 ton and 2,000 square feet is right at the max.
Yeah, 1,800 is actually the max. So it's about the old rule of thumb back in the 60s was 600 square foot per ton. now that we got, if you put new windows in, I mean, we do spray foam insulation and insulation and all that stuff to kind of make the 600 go to 700 square foot. So, we've got houses 800 square foot per ton, 900 square foot per ton. Heck, when we spray foam a house, that kind of gives me a segue into what I did at my dad's house. My mom passed away last year, so I built out a 2-car garage for him, and I spray foamed the walls, spray foamed the attic, spray foamed the roof deck, spray foamed the whole entire thing. Now it's about 700 square foot because my dad keeps it 77 because he's 77 years old. So I go in there and my fat butt just bursts into flames. Me and Lee would be in there sweating to death when talking to my dad, but we spray foamed everything to keep the heat in. I mean, that's 700 square foot. I can heat that thing with a 1-ton unit. I mean, a half-ton unit. So we got a, so it's not the square footage per ton. That is only rule of thumb. The right way is a CAD drawing and load calculation to really, because every house is different. We've gone into houses where there's no insulation, like zero insulation. So that is really bad, right? So, but we can fix that.
I own one of them too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you for the call. Hopefully you got your information, your address and stuff, and I can mail that stuff out to you. If you need us for plumbing or electrical or any other stuff, you sound like a handy guy, but we can help you with anything.
All right, thank you. I sure enjoyed it.
All right, thank you, Dick. Good to talk to you. Appreciate you joining the show this morning. And if you out there listening would like to join, all you got to do is call us 627-7979. That's 627-7979 here at News Talk 790 WNIS. The number for Worley's Home Services, if you want to call them directly, 757-215-4075. That's 215-4075. The website is callworleys.com. That's WORLEYS. Callworleys.com. Chuck Worley is with us, and we've got a lot of calls we can get to here, Chuck.
Want to get to Jeff? Yeah.
Yeah, we got Jeff, we got Bob, we got Joe. We'll begin. Let's begin with Bob Bob. In Norfolk. Bob's been holding the longest. Bob, thank you for your wait. Okay. And what's up with you, Bob? You're on WNIS.
Good morning. Good morning, Chuck. Let me say this first of all. You're mighty young to have all this old school HVAC knowledge. That's good.
Man, I'm double nickels this year. Double nickels.
Yeah, you do it the right way. Well, listen, I'm going to first take a shot at this thermostat question. I think you said, why was the T86 Honeywell the most popular, I think, or most favored? Was that the question?
Yep, the most sold unit.
Well, I had one too, of course. Mine was gold. But I think it was because I believe it was based on a mercury switch. And I would guess that it's probably so popular because it was hands-on, it was not complicated, it was pretty accurate, and you could see the darn thing. You didn't have to figure out a calculation. But that would be my guess. It was simple, it worked, and it was user-friendly. How close did it come?
Yeah, that is 100% every answer you gave. Simple,
good,
easy to see, but not exactly the reason that it was the most sold unit. That's okay. They're all great answers because I have, like I said, my customers that are over 60 will not let me take that daggone thing out. I'm like, it's not accurate. He's like, I gotta wrestle a 60-year-old lady to let me take that thing out of her house. That thing ran my boiler for 58 years and it's good. Don't change it out. We had one that lady was freaking out so bad about it, but she couldn't see it, right? So we had to actually, there's a monitor that you can, a thing that you can get to add on to that has a big 5, a big 6, a big 7, and a big 8 on it. And it slips over right where it's 60, 70 degrees, 80 degrees, and 90 degrees. So she could tell where the thing is. So I had to get my little screwdriver out and adjust it so it was actually accurate, because that thing hadn't been accurate in years, and move it. And so anyway, I got it working, and then I've got this big number thing. so that she could finally see it. She had a big magnifying glass that was hanging from the wall right next. It was hysterical, but it worked. It worked.
I
So
I think it's like me. If it works and if it's reliable, you understand it. Leave it the heck alone. I mean, it's not doesn't have to be a computer. Well, I have an old house that's built in 1950, and it started off with oil heat, of course, and I got rid of that oil guzzling monster and went with natural gas. I got a little Burnham. It's hot water system, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And not many people can work on boilers anymore, it seems like. But it sounds like you know something about them. So the installer.
You trying to call me long in the tooth? You trying to call me long in the tooth?
No, I just said you were young to have all your knowledge. So no, I think it's good that people still like these things. But anyway, it's served me well so far. And it's a Burnham, and I like it, but I think I can call you if I have any issues with it.
You can. I have a couple dying breeds. The dying breeds in my industry are oil technicians and boiler technicians. It is a dying breed. These 30-year-olds have never put their hands on a thing. They got all these new tankless, and everything's computerized from their phone, and man. But it's old school. I got me a whole bunch of 50 pluses, and
yes, sir. You hold on.
They're schooling these 30-year-olds. They're schooling the 30-year-olds. But yeah, we've got 3 or 4 boiler techs. So when you call in, just saying, "Hey, look, I need a boiler tech," and my service technician will definitely get out to you. But definitely give your address and stuff to Mike, and I'll make sure I send you a gift certificate for the next time you use us.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I'm gonna keep tuned in and see what the answer to this question is on this thermostat. You got me.
You do
that.
It won't surprise you. You'll kind of shake your head and go, "Okay, that makes sense."
Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate all the information.
Man. Thank you, Bob.
All right,
Take
Bob.
care.
I'm going to put you on hold to make sure you've got Mike, our producer, has your info if he hasn't already gotten that from you. Let's go to Jeff in Carrollton. Jeff, welcome. You're on WNIS.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Hey, Chuck. Good morning to you, sir. Hope you're feeling better soon.
Yeah, me too. I'm more worried about my fiance, but yeah, it's been a heck of a week. But what's up? What can I do for you?
So I'm in a condo. It's about 22 years old, and pretty certain it's the original unit. We might rent this unit or sell the unit within a year on a potential move. So I'm just trying to figure, like, what would the current value of a new unit bring in either of those scenarios if we were to rent it or move and replace it prior to moving. I guess how much income or how much value would it bring to the sale and whatnot. Also, the office. I have an office upstairs, and just like the prior caller, that it's probably a 10-degree difference in the heat in my office bedroom compared to downstairs, and it kind of makes it uncomfortable.
Depending on how your ductwork is set up, you can fix that. I had a condo for years. I actually have what's called a tri-level house also, which is 3 different floors. It's like the garage was converted, then there's a first floor to the right, and then above the garage was a second floor, which was really the 3rd floor. So I had a thermostat on each level in my house, so I could actually have every single room, whatever temperature I wanted. So depending on how your ductwork is set up in the house, we can definitely, we can put in what's called a motorized zoning system, where you have one system, but actually 2 thermostats. So you have a thermostat upstairs and a thermostat downstairs. And what you really want to do is control that space. So the first floor is always during the wintertime going to be hard to, keep warm, but then the heat rises. God does all that for us. Heat rises, cold air falls. So during the summertime, that second floor, that thermostat on the second floor is going to be wide open. And then the first floor, of course, the cold air is going to fall. So it really, there is a way to make it better. Especially, I've done it to several townhouses. It just depends on how the ductwork is set up, but it can be done. It's just, because it wasn't designed right in the front, and you got some design issues that we got to work through, but it can be done. If you're going to be leaving in a year, I don't know that you want to invest into that with a 20-year-old system. The thing that has to cross your mind now, is there value in a new system? Absolutely. Because when your wife and you are walking through this condo and you're trying to buy this condo and you see a Tyrannosaurus Rex in the backyard and you're like, what in the heck is that? This 20-year-old unit out there that when it comes on, it sounds like a 747. And you're like, wow, what is that noise? My children are going to have hearing aids by 20 because this thing is so loud in the backyard. So you have to think about that. Is it the actual value of, do you add value putting in air conditioning? The answer, to be honest, is no, because you have to have air conditioning. So the value of the house, it's already figured in. Now, the value is when you're going out there and they see this brand new unit, they're not going to be thinking, oh, what else are they hiding from me? Like they're trying to, they got that nice fence around the air conditioner and it's making noise, but they're trying to hide it. Or you got this brand new shiny air conditioner out there and they're like, oh, they've really taken care of this place. So it's a perception, I guess, when you're trying to sell it. But if it's really 20 years old, man, I mean, you're 5 to 7, 8 years past the time that you probably should have replaced it. I mean, you're probably paying more in utility bills than you probably could have been the last however long you've been there. But even looking past all that, it's just a better look when you're buying the house to have something newer versus, a 22-year-old unit.
Right.
That makes sense?
Okay.
So, I mean, if you got a water heater that's leaking, that's barely leaking, but it works, you got an air conditioner that sounds like a 747, they're going to be like, well, what else is going wrong in this place, right? So, they see a new water heater, they see a new air conditioner. The impression is, oh, they've really taken care of this place, So, did that answer your question?
Gotcha. I think it does.
Okay. Well, definitely make sure Mike's got your info, and I'll send you out a gift card and send you out a Starbucks gift card and also a gift certificate from Worley's.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks,
we appreciate the call. We've got about, Chuck, we've just been rolling here this morning. We haven't even taken a break yet.
6-7 calls, man.
Yeah.
This is great.
We've got more callers to get to. We haven't taken a break yet. I only mention it because I just want to make sure that you don't need like a pit stop or something. Because I'll keep on.
I'm good. Let's roll.
I just want to make sure. We'll keep on going. Noel, we'll get to you in just a second. Noel in Virginia Beach, hang on the line. Let's go next to Joe in Virginia Beach. Joe, welcome. You're on WNIS. What's going on?
Hi, I've got a better answer for that Honeywell thermostat.
Oh, here we go. What is it?
All right. What is it, man?
That thermostat could control both heating and cooling in the one thermostat. I think that's probably the answer you're looking for.
It is not, but that is an absolutely great. It's a great answer because they use that daggone thing for everything, like the floor furnace, just heat. Because back in the 60s, I mean, that was the only, heat there was just, you're lucky to have a gas furnace, but there was no air conditioning yet. So when they added the air conditioner, that unit could handle the air conditioner. Also, I've seen 2 of those in the house, one controlling the boiler and then one controlling the air conditioner they added in the 70s. So simple, easy, and it did everything. Yeah, those are all great answers, but not the most obvious. Not the most obvious. So I'll get to that.
Cheap to make.
To that in a second.
Go ahead, Joe.
That was cheap to make. It was easy to use. I'm not sure what other answer there could be.
Hang on to the radio and listen, and you will say, "Of course, Chuck. Yes, of course, that's the best answer." You will love it. You will love it. It is obvious.
Chuck will give away the answer coming up between now and 10 o'clock. So, Joe, hang right there next to your radio. Let's move to Noel in Virginia Beach. Noel, welcome. You're on WNIS.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up with you, buddy? How can we help you?
Well, I got a mystery that I've been trying to solve for the past couple years or so regarding moisture and ceramic tiles and what could be causing the problem. And we had a foundation place come out, and they sort of convinced the wife. They didn't really convince me, but we still ended up signing a deal for like a major expenditure, which we haven't done yet. We're involving them trying to convince us that moisture was coming up through the concrete slab that my house is sitting on and getting into the ceramic tiles and stuff and rotting out the bottom part of my downstairs bathroom wall. And I'm not entirely sold on that. I think maybe it's condensation in the walls. I don't think it's a leak because we had a plumbing place come out a while back and they did a leak check and they watched the meter 15 minutes, no water usage, and the meter didn't budge. So there's no leak in my house, but it's causing staining on my ceramic tile from near where my bathroom is, and it's kind of working its way outward. And of course, the wife's driving me crazy about it. Oh, we got to get this fixed, and everything. And I have, and a while back we had the flashing on the roof was badly done when they did my roof, and a storm came in and blew really hard, and it literally destroyed just the ceiling of my downstairs bathroom, and we got that flashing redone, and we thought we had that issue solved. But then we got a small, tiny bit of damage in one corner, but then, of course, we got that staining issue, which I'm trying to figure out, and I have no clue on it.
So, yeah, there are so many answers to that question. There could be so many different things. I need to get my eyes on that. I don't mind coming out and have one of my techs come out and take a look at that. Probably one of my plumbing techs, because if you did have the pressure, that was a great idea. Great kudos to you for thinking of that. That would have been my first thing, is testing the drain lines and making sure they're not leaking, and testing the water lines and make sure they're not leaking. A slab is not normal to leaking. I had a friend of mine that was a roofer he said only the lucky people find the leak or see the leak. That was one of his quotes. Only the lucky people see the leak. Because the problem is, what's that mean? Well, if he's changing a window out or something, you open up the window and you're like, the whole wall is rotted out, right? So only the lucky people see the leak. So unfortunately, you did find it, but hopefully, only so much damage has been done. But I definitely got to get a tech out there. That's just too big an issue to explain.
It's weird because I said a while back the wife kept saying she was smelling mold, and I said, you're just not smelling mold. And eventually we had to have the entire around one of the windows on the front of my house completely changed out, the entire wall and everything. So right. I'm not hearing the end of that. Let me tell you.
Right. Yeah. But, how would you know? It's until you smell it or till you hear it or whatever. So,
the stain
definitely make sure Mike got your information, and we'll get out there next week and kind of see if we can give you another opinion on that.
I kind of come up, but I would like possibly maybe the 21st or maybe the 26th, 27th, maybe.
Call the office. It's 215-4075, 215-4075, and Wendy will be there to answer and you can just book an appointment today for whatever day you want.
The deal that we signed on to, we gave them a $1,400 deposit, and it's supposed to be like $7,000 because they want to put like a pump right up at the edge of my foundation, which I think is a complete waste of money to suck moisture away from my foundation, which is ridiculous, and I'm not entirely buying it. But if it's something else that I can fix, then maybe I can get out of the other deal, because I really don't want to waste that $1,400 we gave them.
Or $7. So okay, cool. You want to grab that next one?
All right, Noel.
Thank you for calling in, Noel.
All right, Noel, thank you. Appreciate it. And that number, once again, if you want to call Worley's Home Services directly, it's 757-215-4075. Chuck, we're running out of time here. I want to make sure that
this is fantastic.
Yeah, I know.
8-9 calls today.
And I want to apologize to Bob in Virginia Beach and Sal in Norfolk. We will not have time to get to you. We appreciate you calling in. We're just up against the clock here, guys. But
give the address and stuff. I want to at least mail stuff to you for the gift cards, because you did call in and I gave you my word I would send you a gift card. So, and we can call them back. I guess we get their phone numbers too. I could call them back and answer offline. So
absolutely.
But you want the answer?
Yes. So the and recap just a little bit for those that are just joining us.
All right. So the Honeywell thermostat T86, the round tan, some even one, I think it was Bob said he had a gold one.
Yeah.
There were some silver ones. There was some, but the T86 back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, they were straight heat, but they did heating in. It can do heating and air conditioning, but the heating is the most popular part. Why was it the sold thermostat? Is because it was the only one.
It was the only one?
It's practically the only thermostat on the market. Think about now. You go on to Google right now. How many thermostats pull up?
Sure. A ton.
Like 690 Hunters and Honeywell. And hell, Honeywell makes half of them and subs it to other names. Like there is just too many. You got the EcoBees. We got the what's the other pop? Nest. We got there is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different styles and programmable and whatever. The reason that was the most thermostat is it was the only one. Not the only thermostat, but it was the most popular thermostat because it was easy. Back then it was mercury. Hell, they don't even make mercury thermostats anymore. But the reason it was the most sold is because it was literally, not the only option, but literally one of the only options on the market. And Honeywell did a great job marketing it.
Chuck Worley, we did the whole show this morning and we didn't even take a break. So it was a good one. We got lots of calls. We had some fun. And hope you feel better soon, my man, because Chuck was joining us this morning via the magic of the Googles. And he's feeling under the weather, but you'll be back with us next month on WNIS, right?
I will do it. It was fun.
All right,
Thanks,
my friend. Once again, the number, if you want to reach Chuck Worley and Worley's Home Services, you can call them anytime and keep this number handy in case something goes wrong. 757-215-4075. That's 215-4075. And his website is callworleys.com. Call WORLEYS.com. Chuck, thank you, my friend.
Great show, man. Had a lot of calls. That's fantastic.
It is News Talk 790 WNIS.
Yes, it's Christmas. Thank God it's Christmas. The moon and stars seem awful cold and bright. Let's hope the snow yes, it's Christmas. Thank God it's Christmas.
The preceding program was sponsored and paid for by Worley Home Services, who's entirely responsible for its content.